Yeah, peas on toast isn't quite main course at the Ritz, but it's a decent, healthy-ish meal for breakfast or lunch. Incidentally, the first time I actually tried a dish like this was at the Broad Chair, which is this bougie restaurant here in Newcastle. This recipe is basically just me riffing off theirs, as they say. Grab any old pan and preheat 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil on medium heat. While that's heating up, we'll start preparing everything. So first we need an onion. Apparently most alliums, so like onions, garlic, leeks, shallots and all of that, taste pretty good with peas, but there's a reason basically every half decent restaurant uses shallots almost exclusively. They're just better than regular onions. They're sweeter and milder than most alliums. Apparently shallots taste somewhere between onions and garlic, but I can't really tell, to be honest. Either way, I basically try to use shallots in every recipe that calls for onion, and today is no exception. But for some reason the supermarket only had these tiny weird ones. So grab either 1 normal sized shallot or onion, or like 3 of these tiny little weird ones. Chop off the heads, cut them in half and peel them. And honestly, it turns out peeling these little weird ones is also harder than it looks. If and when you finish peeling, roughly slice them and set aside. I suppose you could dice them, but they'll be getting blitzed up in the food processor, so I don't really think it makes much of a difference. We'll also throw another allium in the mix, garlic. And this is absolutely non-negotiable if, you want your dish to actually taste good. Grab 2 or 3 cloves and peel them. The easiest way I've found to peel them is to just lightly crush them with the blade of my knife and to peel them like so. Now the only problem with this dish is textural contrast. The actual peas part of the dish, as you can probably imagine, is quite soft and mushy. So I like to throw some nuts on the end to give it a bit of crunch and, vary the texture a little bit. I think roasted pine nuts would work best, but Jesus Christ, I'm not made of money. For a cheaper option, I'd go with some roasted peanuts, cashews, or like I'm using here, some almonds. Roughly chop a small handful of whatever nut you want to use and set them aside. So that's all the prep done and the pan should be hot enough to start. Add the shallots to the pan and fry them for about 8 to 10 minutes until they're soft and blonde. I'd recommend moving them about every so often, but since the heat's relatively low, I wouldn't worry too much about them actually burning. And since you don't have to keep a constant eye on them, you can get all the other ingredients together while they're frying away. So first, you probably can't make peas on toast without peas. So weigh out about 200 grams frozen garden peas or petit pois if you're so inclined. Get your tap water running as hot as possible and thaw the peas under it. You could boil the peas in salted water, I suppose, but I found it actually makes very little difference to the end result. This dish tastes great whether the peas are boiled or not. You could also substitute the peas for edamame beans for a higher protein version of this dish if that's your thing. Either way, frozen peas are definitely best. Peas lose the sweetness very fast after they've been picked, so by the time fresh peas reach the supermarket, they've probably been sitting on the shelf for ages and they're already way too old. Whereas frozen peas are frozen very quickly after being picked, so they're practically fresh. Anyway, once you've thawed the peas, throw them in a food processor alongside half a cup, about 180 milliliters of coconut milk. In the flavour matrix, James,
Bricione.
So that bloke says in his book that peas pair pretty well with alliums, toasted nuts, mint, fish, mushroom, berry, and melon. And he also notes a few surprising pairings: strawberry, coffee, apple, and coconut. Hence why I'm using the coconut milk. So once the coconut milk's in there, add a teaspoon of Dijon or English mustard, depending on your taste and patriotic preferences. I also like to throw in some sort of spice, like a green chilli, hot sauce, or, as I'm using here, some harissa paste. But if you're the sort of person who finds salt spicy, or if, you're British, then you can leave it out. Also throw in about 3 stems worth of mint leaves, without the stems. For some acidity, we'll squeeze in the juice of half a lemon or lime, though I'm not sure what all that is about. Anyway, the final ingredient, garlic, minced on a microplane. By the way, if you don't already have one, get a microplane. Probably the most multifunctional tool in my kitchen. And when it comes to garlic presses are absolutely useless in my opinion. And mincing with a knife takes ages. But using one of these is so effortless. I'll show you another great use for the microplane later as well. Anyway, finally throw in a little bit of black pepper and some salt. If you've still got time while the shallots are frying, is it shallots? Shallots? I don't know. Either way, if those things still need to fry for a little bit, it's a good opportunity to do some washing up. We're going to need that microplane later, for example, so you may as well wash that at least. Okay, I'm going to say shallots. Once the shallots are blonde like this, turn off the heat and throw them in the processor too. Throw on the lid and pulse everything together for about 60 seconds. If you don't have a food processor, by the way, you could puree this mixture with a blender or possibly by hand, though I haven't actually tried it. Either way, a food processor is the easiest method by far. So what we're making here is basically a pea puree, right? And often people do make purees in blenders. I mean, in a blender you'll definitely get smoother results, But to be honest, I kind of like the chunky, heterogeneous texture that you get from a food processor. But I guess, like all things, it's just personal preference, right? Either way, whatever your device of choice is, once it's finished pureeing, give it a little taste, add a little more salt and pepper as needed. Personally, I just wanted a little more sweetness, so I added a little splash of balsamic vinegar. I mean, this stuff is mostly sugar, as it turns out, so you could literally just add a pinch of sugar if that's easier for you. Pulse again and retaste. That tastes good to me, but again, you should just adjust it to your tastes. It's all personal preference, right? A recipe should be used as a reference. We shouldn't just follow it to the letter. You want to make something that tastes good to you, not the person who wrote the recipe, right? Either way, now that the puree is done, let's sort out the bread. So throw whatever pan you used for the shallots back on medium heat. There's no point in getting another pan dirty. Once the pan's hot enough, throw in about a tablespoon of butter or margarine, whatever you prefer. My pan was actually on medium-high heat here, and it was probably too hot. I think the butter burnt a little bit, but oh well. Grab 2 slices of bread. If you're a pretentious knob like me, you'll reach for 2 slices of chili and cheese sourdough. Or if you say a normal person, you'll grab 2 slices of white bread. Toast whatever bread you're using until it's crispy and browned. About 1 to 2 minutes each side, and oh, that looks so good. I probably don't need to tell you how to plate peas on toast, but I'm going to do it anyway. The bread goes first, and then you spoon over some of the puree. You get extra pretentious points if you don't cover the entire slice of bread. Sprinkle over a little bit of those nuts, whichever ones you went for. Then grab a block of Parmesan or some other hard cheese. And here's another use for that microplane. You can use it to grate cheese over a dish to create a really nice sort of snow-like texture. I mean, I really like it. It just makes any dish look amazing. If you don't have a microplane, you could just use a box grater or something here, to be honest. Finally, grind over some freshly ground black pepper for a little bit of extra contrast. And it's ready to serve. It's healthy, it's cheap, it's pretty easy, and it doesn't taste too bad either, which I guess is the most important thing. Either way, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, get a microplane. And also don't forget to subscribe for some more microplane based ad placement.